actually made their children to sit and listen to this particular episode. And we are there at 83rd Super Sunday session talking about metacognition skills. Well, today's session is going to be more centered towards the teachers. I hope the children who are attending the session can kind of understand it. If they can, then that's really nice. Well, the topic is something related to thought process and about monitoring the same. However, before getting on with the topic, I would like to thank all the teachers out there for regularly joining. We are nearing 100 sessions, and it's kind of it requires a lot of consistency and a lot of discipline for the people out there to regularly join every Sunday 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. If not join the live session, at least watch the video on the same day. I get amazed with every session. Like, at least there is 700 to 800 participants, both YouTube live and Zoom call put together. People are joining, and now being the festival season, not many people are interested to learn things right in the morning, but somehow the consistency that got established from our side, from Super Teacher, we would like to maintain that. In fact, some of our team members are kind of habitual that every Sunday is also working day. I'm sorry for that, team members. But anyways, let's quickly get on with the session today, teachers. This is going to be a continuation of what we have done in the past. The last session was the art of questioning, and it was all about how do you ask questions, the right questions in the right manner to get the right answer. The inquiry-based learning approach of pedagogy is directly related to asking questions and deriving the answers. Once you derive the answers from the students, the continuous process of the same will lead us to conclusion of the concept exploration. Here in this case, these questions that we were speaking the last time about you asking it to the students, the first time it's going to be we asking the questions to ourselves. And that is what is called as metacognition. Sometimes the ability of, I would not say ability, sometimes when we just walk on the roads, or when we are alone, sometimes when we are really bored or something like that, and it's very important to get bored, we start talking to ourselves. What kind of life is this? Lakshmi ma'am is like, it's a beautiful Sunday morning, and everything is going absolutely fine. But this fellow Vasu will come, Super Sunday workshop will happen, and it'll spoil everything. But chalega 1 hour, then we have something to do. So you start talking to yourself. You speak to yourself, and this ability is really very important. Yes, of course, people might call you a mental or a pagal when you talk to yourself and smile on the road and walk, but that's completely fine. It's somewhere very important from the perspective of understanding yourself. The topics like self-introspection, the topics like self-reflection, self-confidence, esteem, all these things get derived from this one word called as metacognitive abilities. Metacognitive abilities might not be known to a general common man. It's more from the perspective of uh, you know making people realize that there is something like this, and teachers are the right audience or the people to make other people realize that there is something called as metacognition. Be aware about it. Now, when we talk about metacognition, it also comes up with another fantastic term. It's like practice makes a man perfect, right? So sometimes you might know that whatever you're doing is a very good practice or a very bad practice, but still you continue to do that. The ability of somebody to know what you're about to do is good or bad, could be anything else as well, right or wrong, is actually called as the information from metacognition. I hope you're getting it right. For example, you're planning to make a lesson plan for the students, and while writing the lesson plan, you know that this particular activity cannot be completed within 35 periods, but unfortunately you have to submit the lesson plan to your principal or your coordinator. Just because of that, you'll write it over there consciously that you're going to conduct this activity, and for the sake of, I'm sorry, and for the sake of submitting, you'll actually submit it. Now, this particular ability is actually called as metacognition skills, like knowing things before. In fact, some people also have this thing. I do not know, Mrinal ma'am or Nidhi ma'am, have you come across a situation jahan par you say that I was actually thinking about this, and you actually spoke about it? Sometimes your thought process are so powerful that you think about something and it happens in reality. ऐसा कोई है यहाँ पे in this group who says that, sir, I just spoke about it, I just thought about it, and the next few seconds it actually happened? If that is happening, that means this particular person has got great instincts. People say instincts, right? Well, that is again related to metacognition. Well, it's not a proven theory. I'm going to talk about that as well. I'll show that on some of the papers that are present during the session. Telepathy, yeah, people call it telepathy. It's more of a science fiction word to it, but technically it's somewhere. intuition, instincts, things like that. Yeah, intuition. Lakshmi ma'am, you're right. Absolutely. I just said that. Okay. That's a subconscious, effect. People call come that under. I think they put that under law of attraction, where you keep thinking of something and you start murmuring a song, and subconsciously the other person also starts singing the same song. You start singing the song to an extent where the other person gets irritated, and at a point even you get irritated, but you still continue to sing the same song. I do that with my wife all the time. Yeah, basically today we're going to talk about Malvika ma'am. You're absolutely right. Thinking about our own thinking. Let me quickly share my screen and speak about today's topic. I really like this particular part of science, this science of human body, something that you can't really, feel. You can't. It's quite. In fact, uh, metacognition does not have any medicine as such. It's a process that it's a science that still it's unexplored. Many people are delving into the details of how does this actually work. In fact, the representations of metacognition is present in ancient Indian books also. People say that I think Dr. J.H. Flavel is the father of metacognition. Was a person just recently came. Yeah, but metacognition was actually mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, in Buddhist writings. I'll show you. I'll show you. Even in the Upanishads. See, he who knows others is wise. Yeah, you know me, you're wise. He who knows himself is enlightened. Nice, no? So it's about knowing yourself who you are. And if you know that you are not the right person that you want to be, that's where you go towards what you actually want or desire to be. So that ability of somebody to go towards what you want to be comes from metacognition. Let's understand this. So the Upanishads, which are ancient Indian texts that are from philosophical foundation of Hinduism, discuss concepts like self-awareness, atmanyana, and introspection. It's mentioned in National Curriculum Framework as well. The idea of knowing the knower, knowledge about my knowledge, something like that. Understanding one's own mind can be seen as an early form of metacognition. That's very long back. Then Bhagavad Gita discusses self-awareness and the control of the mind in several verses. For example, in chapter 6, where they talk about yoga, dhyana yoga, and they mention, it emphasizes the need for self-discipline and controlling one's thoughts through meditation and reflection. That's powerful, right? Self-discipline and control. So basically, Arjuna comes and tells Krishna that I'm not able to control my thoughts and things like that. So that's where this comes. Well, let's not get into the details. In addition to Hindu scriptures, ancient Jain and Buddhist philosophies also emphasize the importance of self reflection and mindfulness. In fact, there is a separate practice of yoga called as vipassana. Did I mention that? Yes. Which are key components of metacognitive practices. Buddhist meditation techniques such as vipassana involve observing one's thoughts and emotions to develop deeper insight. If anybody out there would really like to know who you are internally, I think you should uh, you should try vipassana. It's like getting detached from everything, your family, your emotions, and importantly, your mobile phones. And you actually go to a certain location where there are a group of people and just spend time all alone with yourself. It's a very powerful way of understanding who we are actually. Well, that's too much to take forward. So you can begin for probably you stay alone or you do vipassana for 2 days or 3 days. I think that's a scientific thing, and then 1 week, and it extends to even years together. And that's how these monks, which is a common scenario in the Chinese countries or South Asian countries, where they talk about Vipassana to quite some extent. So these are some of the references of metacognition and their abilities, importance of that in our Indian structure. But at the same time, I'm sorry. At the same time, it's important for us to know that the scientific methodologies and its proofs and facts are already mentioned in modern documents as well, which we are going to look into. And everybody talks about one thing: why is metacognition so important? Watch this, teachers; you'll understand it in a clear manner. We'll also learn the science of metacognition in a few seconds, which actually enhances neural efficiency. You remember in one of the sessions we were actually talking about competency based education, and we spoke about synapses. So synapses is basically the gap, or the gap between two neurons, where they try to actually connect with each other based on your thought process. So suppose you think about cooking is a simple example. You do not know how to cook, so probably finding out the right ingredients for the right product or right recipe, I would say dal, chawal, whatever it is, you are into the process of cooking. So the synapses gradually come together. Once you cook, they are kind of this much strong, and then you cook a little more, you become a little more strong, and you cook a little more, it becomes even more strong. So there'll be a point in time that you can't forget cooking. So it's so strong like that. That is why sometimes some relationship are so strong, because that has been given a lot of importance regularly. The synapse became so tight that you can't forget the other person. Yeah, it could be the spouse. Some of you are like, nahi sir, spouse easily भूल जाती हूँ या भूल जाता हूँ. That this when I explained this to my wife, she was like, "Come on, I easily forget you. You're never there at home. There is no synapse at all, something like that." So the point is, this synapse plays an important role, and this kind of gets bridged. So with metacognition, it enhances neural efficiency, focuses on cognitive reserve for more effective problem solving and learning. Look at the next point. It strengthens executive function. For example, there are certain habits that we have. We tend to plan regularly. We tend to keep the things in the right place, in the right order. These are habits that you consciously follow for your peace of mind in your surroundings. That is basically executive function. This also includes, I think, to a large extent, the reflex actions, reacting to a particular scenario. Some people react immediately, some people take time, depending on the kind of incidents, but this comes under executive function. It improves self-assessment accuracy. It's very important. With self-assessment accuracy, your listening skills also gets improved. For example, it promotes better judgment of knowledge and skills, leading to effective learning strategies. Sometimes you would have seen that when the principal or the coordinator or HM, when they speak something, before even they complete the sentence, some teachers in a classroom or a staff room, they'll be like, "No, ma'am, this is a very bad idea." So principal will be like, "Let me complete first," something like that. So when you jump to conclusions, when you try to immediately respond to a response from the other side, that's a sign of poor metacognitive abilities. And with good practice, you can improve the self-assessment accuracy, and it happens very fast. Sometimes you can't be thinking about the same thing for a very long time, and the principal has completed the meeting and she's left the classroom or the staff room. So it's important for you to be spontaneous, and that can happen only with practice. So what are the practices that we can do? We'll look at that little later. It facilitates cognitive flexibility. This is very, very important. So basically what happened is, there was a study which was done. In fact, most of you know that when we are present in a particular task, let's assume the task of teaching. You should say yes or no in the chat right now. This particular task that we do teaching, we are kind of in a flow, and that flow is absolutely amazing, and you're flawless. For 1 week you've been doing the activities really well. Suddenly there is a declaration in the school that there's an annual day function coming next week, and Madhuri ma'am, you're going to be the dance teacher. She's actually a max teacher in the school, and she's going to train the students on dance. Now she kind of likes that particular habit. Okay, I'm going to teach dance right now. She goes to the dancing classes, and she's teaching the students and training them on how to dance. But when she suddenly comes back to the class again, her ability to switch back from being a dance teacher to a mathematics teacher again takes some time. This is not only true for teaching and dancing, it's also true for the administrative task. For example, you are in a flow to prepare something, but suddenly there is a task of preparing a lesson plan. Lesson plan could be part of your academic work, no doubt in that, but that kind of disturbs your actual flow of teaching. So sometimes, some of people, my mentor, what they suggest is, instead of doing a task that is totally against or totally away from what you're currently doing in regularity, you can instead sleep for some time. you know you take rest, that's okay, don't do anything, don't go anywhere, you sleep for some time, but don't get involved in another task that can disrupt your actual flow of thought process. So that is the reason teachers, whenever a child or whenever a teacher is in a flow of certain task and sticks to that, their consistency and discipline becomes easy. I hope you're able to understand. The problem comes only when there is diverse set of work. Well, we can't avoid this. We cannot avoid this to greater extent. For example, right after being a teacher, you immediately come back home and you become a mother. Now, becoming a teacher and a mother is a very difficult process. Most of the fights at home happen because you behave like teacher even at home. And your husband or wife must be like, enough of your teaching job, you're there at home. something like that. So we are talking about that particular switch, and that is basically called as facilitates cognitive flexibility. You're right. See, multitasking is really important. There's no doubt about it. But the ability of cognitive flexibility, I can immediately switch. Today I'm a teacher, tomorrow I'm the principal. I can do that. I'm a mother right now and I can be an IT professional. I can be. If you are able to say that, that means your metacognitive abilities are really great. Nice, no? Well, next comes aids error detection and correction. You would have observed this sometimes, teachers. Mostly this is, with the teachers, it happens flawlessly. When you're speaking a statement in the class, that time itself you are in complete awareness that whatever you're about to speak the next is actually false. Whatever you're about to speak in the next few seconds, words, sentences, is about to become false. On the spot, you change the sentence and make it right. Has that happened any time? So during my sessions with Super Sunday Workshop, sometimes I blabber. That means I'm not able to monitor my thoughts, monitor my speech, and not able to control what I'm going to speak next. But this is really good with the teachers. They know that they're going to about to make a mistake, and immediately they fall back on the spot. So it's a fraction of a second, and they correct the statement. So this happens, and that is why it is called as aids error detection and correction. If you're able to do that spontaneously, your metacognitive abilities are really good, and this is the reason it's important, right? At last, there is something called as promotes neuroplasticity. Now, this is basically again related to the prefrontal cortex and the limbic brain. Don't worry, I'm using tough terms over here just because of the research that we have done, but it's an amazing context. I'm going to show that in the form of a video. It encourages brain changes that support lifelong learning and cognitive growth. There are some people who are, they could be probably, 65, 70 years old. That means indirectly what I'm trying to communicate is they have a practice of their habits so much that they can't change that easily. In fact, people say na uska umar ho gaya, तो उसको change नहीं कर सकते. The person is old, now changing that person is a very difficult task. This predominantly happens with parents when they get old, and when you have to take care of them, they don't really listen to you and still eat that laddu even though if they have their diabetes or sugar. But but the point is that's actually not a true fact. If that person had got exposed to the right metacognitive strategies to improve their abilities of thinking on their own thinking, they could have managed. So I have got an experience of meeting some professors and teachers who are retired but still, they're kind of updated. They watch Netflix, the series that even I have not watched before. They're really spontaneous in technological advancements, and they know what's exactly happening right now. Their news channels will not talk about the local politics. It will talk about the global politics on what's happening. So they are kind of really broad minded. Where did it come from? Because of metacognitive abilities. So let me quickly show you the video which talks about prefrontal cortex and limbic brain, which is responsible for metacognition to a very large extent. I think some of you would have actually seen this if I'm not wrong. However, I'm sharing the computer sound and I'm playing the video. Watch this.
Emotions proceed from a part of the brain called the limbic system. It's not smart. It just creates these feelings and drives and desires. It's nothing conscious about it at all. If you stop there with your emotions, you'll be managed by them, and that's not what you want. You want to deliver the experience fully to your prefrontal cortex so you can decide what the emotions mean and how you're going to react. Only your conscious brain can do that, but you need techniques. Those techniques are called metacognition. Metacognition is awareness of awareness. It's thinking about thinking. What you're really doing is reflecting on what's going on in your emotional life. You're thinking about your own emotions such that your prefrontal cortex is looking at your limbic system. So for example, when you have little kids, they tend to be really emotional. And that's great sometimes, but sometimes it's an incredible pain. And so you'll say, don't scream, use your words. What you're actually saying is stop being so limbic. Use your prefrontal cortex. You want your kids to deliver the signal from their limbic system to their prefrontal cortex and make a decision about how they're going to react to their own emotions. So take your own advice that you give your kids. First, interrogate your emotions and then say what you want to say, not what you feel. That requires that we be comfortable with the fact that we have negative emotions in the first place. It's normal to have negative emotions. And then to have a repertoire of techniques to self-manage. One of the most common ones, the classic that most of us learned from our grandmothers, is when you're feeling angry, don't say anything until you count to 10. Researchers have put this to the test, and they found that the right number to count to is actually 30. What that's doing is giving a chance for your prefrontal cortex to catch up with your limbic system, and it's incredibly good advice. You will self-regulate. You'll also be prouder of yourself than what you wanted to say in the first place. Metacognition takes a lot of practice. It's not something that you read about it makes sense, and suddenly you can start practicing it perfectly. And you have to be pretty kind to yourself to recognize that you're going to fail a lot. There's a lot of research that shows that this is a skill to be practiced, and the more you practice, the better at it you get. These are habits and rituals that you will actually build up. Not only that, but you'll be happier. There's just so much research that shows that people who are able to moderate their feelings, manage their feelings, they're dramatically happier than people who are reactive. And, not coincidentally, they make other people happier around them.
Well, that particular speech, this is basically Professor from Harvard, Arthur C. Brooks, Arthur, Arthur C. Brooks. I think I've played this video before when we had another topic related to emotional intelligence. Well, here in this case, it's a very I would say deep insights on metacognitive abilities with emotions. So we will be able to SEL. You're absolutely right. SEL, absolutely right. So when we talk about Arthur C. Brooks' idea of when you are having great metacognition, you are kind of happy most of the time. And what's really interesting about it, if you are happy, you keep the people around you happy. So sometimes when somebody says that you really have a great sense of humor, so I think these are the people who who kind of find joy in the smallest of things that are not just for themselves to be happy about, so that they can use that smallest observation in a particular speech or a training, and maybe a normal discussion, and bring some humor into the picture. These people really have great metacognitive abilities. It's like what they're going to speak, they're very careful about. They're very careful about the other person's emotions, and how your talks can affect them in a positive or a negative manner. So, in case, and these people are really good at when I said positive and negative manner, if they really want to hurt someone or they want to taunt someone, they're good with that as well. A great sense of sarcasm. So metacognitive abilities give you a lot of power. ऐसा नहीं है कि it's just like another skill set, you just take it up and practice, and then no, it's not. It's a way of life, in fact, and it happens repeatedly. You need to really practice a lot. Let's understand how do we practice that. And there are multiple methods to do that, of course. So here in this case, there was one practice that was put over here. I'm changing the slide. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. I'll go big screen. Great. So metacognition can be categorized majorly into, as per Flavel, two areas of metacognitive knowledge and metacognitive regulation. So metacognitive knowledge is all about knowledge of persons, knowledge of tasks, knowledge of strategy, self, others, universals, etc., etc. It's about I know this particular person, and when you talk to that particular person, you follow a certain methodology. I think you know that. If I am talking to Nisha ma'am over here, I will have a certain way of talking, and that way did not come consciously. It was somewhere up to a certain extent subconscious, and I know my brain tells me to this person, you have to talk like this. That is knowledge of persons and the reactions accordingly. But when you talk to the friends, you are totally a different personality altogether. Now, sometimes there's a confusion. What is the real you? Are you the person who are in front of your friends, or are you the person, the you with other people? So it's both are true. Our metacognitive abilities are so powerful that they convey the message that there is a certain way to talk, there is a certain way to communicate, depending on the scenario. It could be people or it could be environment. So that is where metacognitive knowledge comes into picture. However, metacognitive regulation is all about controlling those talk. Sometimes you know that this is the way you're supposed to talk, but you don't do that. You deliberately show anger or you deliberately show happiness. It could be either ways, and you take an extra effort in impressing the other person, something like that. So it comes under planning, it comes under monitoring, evaluating, control. Well, all these are related to, there is a separate topic. Going to come to the self words, self introspection, self esteem, self confidence, self concept. All those things. I'm going to talk about it in a few minutes. The practice which people say, which is even mentioned by Arthur C. Brooks, is if you have to improve your metacognitive abilities, follow this. It's like the plan, monitor, evaluate method. Plan, monitor, evaluate method. It's that simple thing. So whenever you plan something, decide what you need to learn and how you will learn it. Whenever a child is picking up a science textbook or a maths textbook, they know before even going through the chapter that this chapter requires an extra time for me to master it. This particular topic, I need probably some guidance from my teacher. How did they come to know? They did not learn it, right? But looking at the chapter itself, you will know. So this particular ability will allow the students to plan the tariqa or the method with which that chapter has to be learned. That's why it comes under planning. I'm sorry, I have a bad throat today. Then something comes monitoring. Monitoring is all about ask yourself how you're doing with the learning. It's like regular check, self introspection. Am I doing the right thing? Am I there in the right path? Something like that. Finally, evaluating. It's more like evaluate, but what's more important is the feedback loop called as revise your work. Activities like think, pair, and share. We do it, right? I think most of the school teachers do that with the students. That's a very effective activity for incorporating metacognitive skills. Let me go forward and talk about metacognition and emotions. Now, metacognition and emotions are very closely associated with each other. Mostly the control of emotions. The flow chart. There's no flow chart. Okay, sure, ma'am. So mostly when we talk about the emotions, when we are aware about our thought process and the flow of our thought process, teachers, it's like you are aware about your emotions. Sometimes you deliberately want to be happy or you deliberately want to be unhappy about something. Sometimes you go and enjoy just because you have taken a conscious decision about it. It's like आज मेरा mood खराब है, let me go party tonight, something like that. I'm feeling really good today, let me have a solo ride. Everybody's way of expressing emotions could be different, but that comes under the category of emotions. Now, metacognition and emotions are very important. The topics like self reflection, self assessment, self monitoring, self questioning, self doubt, for that matter, self evaluation, self discovery, all these self words are related to metacognition. And all these things could be controlled. They can be, they can be kind of diverted towards productivity. Let me show you how. So these are the methods to improve metacognitive skills. And I think some of you already do. How many of you do this think aloud protocol? Do you know what that means? It encourages the learners to verbalize their thought process while solving a problem or reading a text. This helps them articulate their reasoning and self monitor their understanding. So basically, what happens is sometimes when you read something, some learners they will speak about it aloud. So for this, some teachers in some schools, what they've done is it's mandatory for two students sitting in a class. Each student has to study two different topics. And once they've completed reading those two topics, each student has to explain to the other person. Think, pair, and share sort of thing. That is also there separately, but this is called as think aloud protocol. Now, generally, this read aloud is different and think aloud is different, teachers. Now, read aloud is just a way of reinforcing the topic. When you read aloud, it's like kind of seeps into your brain a little faster than the silent reading, but silent reading has got its own benefits as well. Well, this is not about that. This is think aloud protocol. It's like you have completed reading, you have an understanding about that particular topic. Now, that understanding is delivered to your peer, or else it's delivered to yourself. For example, every time when I prepare for Super Sunday workshop, I can't be talking to my own family members all the time, right? So earlier days of Super Sunday used to be fun, right? Early in the morning, once I wake up, I wake my spouse wife up, and I speak about Super Sunday topic to her, and that gives a lot of confidence to me that yes, I'm prepared. But she did not bear with me for a long time. I think only for three Super Sunday that was successful. Then I realized I can't be dependent on anyone, so I need to be dependent on myself. So I started speaking about every session's topic to the mirror. Basically, the mirror is me, right? So think aloud protocol does not really mean that you need another person, but it's important for you to read it out again from your mind, not from your textbook. I hope you got the point. So that is think aloud protocol to improve your metacognitive abilities. Journaling is another very interesting area. I'm not sure how many of you have this habit. Is there anyone have this habit? If you can just put it on the chat. Key, what you do is you make a note of the smallest things that happens on your day-to-day life. It's not diary writing. It's more like journaling. When we go to, for example, whenever I travel, wherever I go, I always carry a notebook and a pen. Basically, it'll be there in my hand, and when I see something, I immediately write it out. It could be a person about somebody who's doing something, or it could be a flight journey for that matter, the most peaceful time of my life. So basically I keep on writing it. Now this need not be with the date, but the point is it's about what's happening in your thought is being put down on a piece of paper. That is why, and this has got amazing connections, teachers, you'll not believe this. That is why people say that rather than taking notes on a laptop or a computer while you're listening to a lecture, it is still better to still have a notebook and a pen, so that the effect of remembrance or the essence of that particular information is retained for a longer period of time. Journaling is nice. Yeah, you do that. Oh yeah, a secret diary sort of a thing. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I'm not so consistent in my life about journaling. So whenever I find something interesting, only then I write it. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Most of our parents had this habit. Yeah, at the time, writing a diary was a royal thing. I don't know if it's still, but in my family it is. My father still writes it. Self-questioning is another interesting area where we need to encourage students to ask themselves questions that they need to find the answers from within. It's like they I remember the statement. So there is this certification program called as Google Certified Educators. I think some of you might have done this course and you become Google Certified Educator. There is a line which states that come to me the third time. I'll repeat it. Come to me the third time. So suppose Google says to the people, come to me the third time. What do you mean by it? So whenever you want to find an information, first of all, ask yourself that what is it that you're wanting to find, and can you find within you? If you're able to get the answer, that's fantastic. If not, then go to the next person, which is basically your friends, your family, or your teachers or professor, or to the library where you can see the books and then take out the information. And if you're not able to find there, only then come to me. So Google itself says, if you have any doubt, do not come to me directly. Sorry, do not come to me directly. Take two chances at least by yourself. That is what will improve metacognition. Otherwise, a human being is too much dependent on technology. So you know what exactly is happening in our day-to-day life right now. We are heavily dependent on Google, and Google doesn't like it actually. You should see that on the Google Certified Educator. It's a fantastic you know come to me the third time. Okay. Anyways, self-questioning is about that. So to teach students ask the specific questions while studying, what do I already know about this topic? How can I connect this information, etc., etc. Goal setting is another interesting habit. Your goals might change on a regular basis, and that's completely fine, but have a habit of writing it down. Next year, I will have so and so car parked in my garage, and that garage will have a huge house with 2000 square feet of ground with three floors in it. Mention all the details. Put it on the piece of paper. Now that's called as goal setting basically, and they say smart way of putting it goals. But the point is when you keep make a note of it, it kind of somewhere manifests. Somebody was mentioning about it, right? That's goal setting. Peer teaching is an interesting topic where students to teach their peers reinforce very simple to think aloud protocol that we discussed. But peer teaching also, some school have seen grade 10 standard students or 9 students go to grade 4 or 5 or 6 to train the students on a certain subject. Actually speaking, I'll be honest with you. So one of the schools, government school basically, a teacher could not come to the school regularly for a long time and the portion was not completed. The principal called the grade 9 students and told that, hey, You three students have got good communication skills. I believe you can do a good job. Go to the sixth standard and conduct this particular lesson. 3 chapters you have to complete. This was actually taken as a step by your principal to, and I'm there in that particular room to talk about it. Somewhere, to manage a teacher's absence, subconsciously this principal gave a task without even knowing that it has got a beautiful effect, but this was done in a school. I hope you're getting the point. So peer teaching gives a so when you learn something with the perspective that you're going to teach it to someone else, the learning becomes totally different. It's given Google, if you can cook and do my daily works, I can complete my education with. Exactly. You're right, Pushpalata ma'am. Then what is the point? Exactly, right? Then the other activities are think, pair, and share. Basically, they're similar to peer teaching. Reflection prompts. It's like after completing of a task, you reflect. Did this really work well? Could I have done something really better? Something like that. What would you do differently next time? All these are things which improves your metacognitive abilities. Metacognitive mapping is like creating a mind map. See, create visual maps that illustrate students' understanding of a topic, including key concepts and connections. Sometimes for a particular topic, there'll be another subtopic that's very important, but they might not understand it. Just because they did not understand the subtopic, they think they have not understood the whole topic as such. It's a very tough theory, right? For example, if I have to talk about trigonometry, they might have not understood probably one of the theorems of sine squared theta plus cos squared theta equal to 1. They think the whole trigonometry is difficult. It should not be the case, right? So mind mapping kind of helps in clearing misconceptions and understanding where and what we do not know. So that's why metacognitive mapping is important. Then comes mindfulness exercise. It's about being conscious about what we're doing right now. See, it's very important to practice this. I think most of you know this. When we are eating food, just eat the food. When you're watching TV, just watch the TV. Elders would have advised us to do this. When you're walking, just walk. Try to focus on the activity that you're doing right now. That improves your metacognitive skills to a large extent. Some students have this habit of listening to songs and reading. Well, that still has got a good benefit. People say that instead of getting distracted in multiple aspects, I'm just getting distracted in one aspect of the song. So that's okay. But the point here is, if the child is able to focus on one subject, one topic right now, only that, then the effect is way better. Then comes error analysis. After completing assignments or tests, which is very close to reflection prompts, error analysis is all about knowing your errors. Sometimes once answering a particular question, the students will come back to the teacher and say that, "Ma'am, this answer is right. If you want, you check." That means the child is not doing the error analysis properly. This is done by the teachers also. Sometimes in one of the I'm sorry, in the reflection form that we give, teachers mark a certain answer and they come back and tell me that, "Sir, the answer that you have mentioned is actually wrong." I think most of the time they are correct. It's my mistake. But sometimes it also happens that they didn't do the error analysis properly. And unfortunately, they commit a mistake. So these are some of the methods with which we can improve metacognitive skills. And it's something that happens with a regular practice. And everything related to our emotions, talking to the other person. It's all about questioning ourselves every second of our life. Am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Is this really nice? Is this providing value to the people? Am I having a sense of humor? Did I do the right thing by doing so and so? Every second asking questions to ourselves and responding to it spontaneously within the brain, especially the prefrontal cortex and not the limbic brain, is very important. So let me go to the last part of the session, teachers. I would like to show you one small video by Edutopia, as usual, talking about how to foster metacognitive skills in the classroom once. Please watch this, teachers.
Giving students the metacognitive skills to manage their own learning so they're active participants rather than passive bystanders sets them up to become self-sufficient learners. The good news is that metacognition can be explicitly taught and practiced across content areas and grade levels. As students get to work on a new lesson or study for a test, encourage them to think about their preparation. They should start by asking themselves questions like, am I prepared to learn? Am I in a clean, quiet space? Is my phone stashed away? Teach them to identify what they already know about the topic and where their gaps are. Learning is more durable when it's built on a solid foundation, so ask them to sketch out a simple concept map to make thinking visible, or tap into prior knowledge with a quick write in a learning journal. As they study, students should actively monitor their learning, asking themselves questions like, am I taking notes on the most important information? Are there concepts I don't really understand? Should I ask the teacher for help? When they get bogged down in their learning, teach them strategies to course correct. For example, they can stop briefly to identify the muddiest point. It's a simple exercise where students pause to share the idea from the lesson that remains the most confusing. This helps them develop self-awareness about what they don't understand and reminds them to slow down and seek clarifying information before carrying on. Research shows that students often overestimate how prepared they are for tests, so it's crucial that students validate their learning. Teach them strategies to review and assess their learning independently. To demonstrate fluency, they can try a think, pair, share activity, teaching what they know to a friend or classmate, or jot down their top 3 takeaways on index cards. If they stumble as they share back their learning, have them do a retrospective, asking questions like what gaps in my knowledge were revealed, what could I have done differently, did I skimp on any stages in my learning journey? By giving students an approach to think about their own thinking, you'll be setting them up to be independent learners in your classroom and beyond.
Well, that's with respect to they again give the example of think, pair, and share, and peer teaching and learning, right? I think peer teaching and learning, you all know its importance. I think most of our graduation days, you used to have a very good book or very big book, and we are actually, we're actually not really comfortable in completing the complete book before the exam. So we depend on our friends. Like I have my friend who will guide me on so and so topic within few seconds, and I'll be able to complete the complete chapter. So in fact, I passed my engineering only because of my friends. I didn't really prepare much with the textbooks. It was kind of very difficult in the class. Hence, we do something called as combined studies, and last moment before the exam. In fact, the amount of portion that gets covered in the last moment of an exam, just 1 hour before, that can never be completed in one academic year. I'm so confident about it. So it's like at that last particular moment, that the number of chapters that you can complete. Look at our potential. I mean, children's potential. I'm surprised with my potential. I'm able to score 80 plus just by studying the last 1 hour. Anyways, coming to the last point of the section, teachers. That is the reason metacognition skills की वजह से ही CPSE came up with multiple protocols of self-assessment, student engagement platforms. They also came up with peer learning. You have a separate internal marks for this, you know that, right? So all these are attributes towards improving the metacognitive abilities of the students. Nice, no? So end of the day, it's all about metacognition skills, the way you regulate your emotions, the way you monitor your thought process, and once we are aware about who we are, which we actually call as self-awareness, the the whatever we speak on that particular spot uh, becomes sensible in nature. People on the other side tend to listen to us better and more. That's it. So with those are the most valuable time. Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, college groups. So when it can happen in the college, why not in school? Yeah, I think we should encourage that. We should encourage that. Anyways, that brings me to the end of the session today, teachers. I hope I was able to throw some light on the art of questioning under metacognitive abilities. So the art of questioning itself is kind of a huge topic. And last time we spoke about, active and passive way of questioning. And we also understood that questioning has got direct relationship with the mindset. We were speaking about how deliberately you ask a question to just start a fight, and same questions could be asked even to solve a problem. In fact, a pedagogy called as inquiry based learning is completely dependent on that. Well, today it was all about asking the questions not to some external person. It's to ask yourself. I would like to quickly share my screen and show you all the Super Sunday workshop topics so far that we have covered, teachers. I think that we can find out over here. And for all the teachers out there who have regularly gone through, I think you should know this. So basically, the science of metacognition is the 83rd session. But every other Sunday, you used to have National Skills Qualification Framework. We did on 31st March 2024. 31st December, we did on digital technology for children with special needs. SUFFLE implementation guide was done just before the SUFFLE exam. Competency based education, 30th April was done because just before the academic year beginning, we wanted to talk about it. Then initiatives in school education. What are the latest initiatives? We spoke on that. Art integration revisit was done very recently in the month of September, right? We did a topic on digital wellness in the month of October, considering October to be a month of cybersecurity last year. This year I couldn't do, I'm sorry. Heart integrated learning, staff from politics. Staff from politics was an interesting topic, but unfortunately, I was not well on that day as well and didn't really deliver good humor that particular day. But that's a topic of competency based assessment was another interesting topic. What is ICSE board and what are the initiatives? We went on to that. National education policy, blended learning, how to implement coding. Psychologists look out of multiple intelligence theory. We had Samanvita ma'am on the screen. Montessori education, integrating vocational skills, emotional intelligence. National curriculum was divided into four parts. National curriculum framework, part one, part two, part three, part four. Yeah, we also did a session on national credit framework. We did a session on great leadership skills, calling it to be super leader. We did a session on SQUA, effective homework practices, and revision techniques, its importance, and how it could be implemented in the schools. Then social and emotional learning. Fit India Week was done. Oh my God, that's amazing. We have covered plethora of topics, teachers. I would request you all to please subscribe to the YouTube channel of Super Teacher Official, and you can go through all these videos in the past. But joining live, it's altogether a different ball game, and I would really feel honored and happy if you're joining live. uh, you know that'll be great. Yeah, so that's it from my side, teachers. Great interacting with one and all. It really gives a lot of boost and confidence that the nation's development is dependent on teachers and not really the students to a very large extent. That's what I believe in. And talking to these teachers is a privilege that I've got thanks to my parents and my partner Banu Prasad over here. So thank you so much to all the people who have joined and who are regular in joining, teachers. I would like to meet you in the next Super Sunday workshop with another interesting topic. Mostly it'll be related to composite labs. There was a circular by CBSE stating it's important for all the CBSE schools to have something called as composite lab. What do you mean by that? We'll talk about that in the next Super Sunday workshop. Until then, have a Super Sunday. Spend time with your family, teachers. Bye, everyone, and Jai Hind. Oh, thank you so much, Deepshika ma'am. Yes, you have a target of 50 hours. 25 is taken care from here. Yeah, designing questions will be another topic, ma'am. It will come under the same section. We'll talk about it. Thank you, Dilip sir. Thank you, Vasuki ma'am. Means a lot. Thank you, Deepanita ma'am. Exactly, joy reading. CSGM certificates have got dispatched. Some people have already received it. The people who attended in IISC, you will receive it by most probably the next week. So I'm receiving all the certificates to myself because it's taking a lot of time by Bits Pilani and IIT Hyderabad to send it directly. So I'm taking the responsibility. So I will come and deliver the certificates to every school by next week, teachers. So I would request you to please wait. By next Saturday, every teacher in Bangalore would have received the IISc, the CSGM certificate. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Neetu ma'am. Pranita ma'am, thank you. Thank you, Sai Jyoti ma'am. Yes, Nisha ma'am, I'm planning to do that. Yes, Bindu ma'am, you're absolutely correct. They did not give any requirements as such. We'll talk about it. I've done some research. You'll definitely talk about it. Most wanted never gets old anytime. Sunita ma'am, you're right. You're right. Thank you, Sunita ma'am. Great. Thank you, Bijoy sir. Thank you. Thank you, Bina ma'am. Thank you, Ramasubramaniam sir. Thank you, Sharda ma'am. Thank you so much. Hyderabad region will also get it, ma'am. Next week, most probably, almost all the schools will get it in Hyderabad. and Bangalore. Following week, it will happen in Kolkata and Chennai. I think so. Yeah. Chennai or Kolkata. I need to wait. I need to see, ma'am. Yeah. But next week, it's Hyderabad and Bangalore. Thank you. Thank you. Sandeep sir, don't worry. You'll be getting the new certificate if the name is incorrect. Please mail it to swati@superteacher. Yes, Nisha ma'am. I'll have it. Oh, Jyoti ma'am, that's a big word. Thank you so much. Narsimha sir, thank you. Thank you, Sharmila ma'am. Thank you all. Reflection form you're not able to open. Ma'am, try again a little later, ma'am. Sometimes when too many people click on it, it kind of gets hanged. Offline sessions will regularly happen very soon. From next academic year onwards, we're planning to have every Friday or Saturday uh, for 2 or 3 hours. We will finalize a locality in respective cities. If the teachers can come and attend, they can attend. It'll be free of cost. Yeah, I'll not charge. Sure is ready, sir. For sure. I'll do that. I'll do that. If you can message me, it'll be of great support. Sorry, sir. Yeah. My phone number is there on the reflection form. Great, Jayanti, ma'am. Thank you so much for attending. Oh, lovely, ma'am. It's a good company. Sakshi, ma'am, it'll be delivered. I'm aware about it. It'll be delivered. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, kindergarten, there's going to be a separate session, Malini, ma'am, very soon. Uh, Monisha, ma'am, thank you so much. It's okay. It's a matter of 1 hour. I can sit and talk. Great. Sure, Deepshika, ma'am, we'll do that. You tell me which one you want. We'll talk about it. We can do the revision. Great. Let's close. I think there are no queries. We'll do it on kindergarten for sure. What is kindergarten? That's going to be the topic very soon. But mostly it'll happen in the month of December, if I'm not wrong, because December Sunday slots are completely empty as of now. We'll see. We'll see what best could be done, teachers. YouTube link is not opening. Super teacher team members, please check. Which YouTube link, Vaibhav sir? Are you talking about the reflection form, or are you talking about the YouTube link itself? Live link. Mention that. Our team will look into it. Session. Oh, see, these days, what's happening is some of our videos are getting copyright strikes because I'm using some other videos like Edutopia and things like that, right? So it's kind of becoming copyright strikes. I should not use it, it seems. They don't allow it, right? Yeah. Sunita, I'm sharing the complete presentation link with you. You can have access to the videos as well. Great. Can we get evaluated on the previous Sunday sessions? If no. So the evaluation for the certification will happen on the same day, Shobna ma'am. So if today's session, the reflection form is there with the questions. You need to score 7 and above to get yourself certified. You have to refill the form, Tusti ma'am. Done. Fantastic, Shobna ma'am. Thank you, teachers. I'm closing for the day. I would like to meet you in the next Super Sunday workshop with Composite Labs. Bye, everyone.